Hello everyone, this is the BMO Dev channel. I am Breno Medeiros and I want to show you guys how to use sockets in C++ for TCP and UDP protocols in macOS. So let's go for it. First of all, what we're gonna do is creating the server script in C++. And what it's gonna do, it will alloc the port 5000 of our IP address so the end client can connect to it through that port. And we're gonna use or the TCP or the UDP protocols. So let's open our Xcode to create an Xcode project. We're going to create a new Xcode project. We are going to hit the macOS command line tool and we're going to create a name for it. I like to put my initials BMO socket C++. You can put anything you want in your organization name. I want to put programs BMO. We are going to put the language for C++, hit next. Now we're going to choose any folder you want and hit create. Wait a little for it, and here it is. This is the final product that we want to create. This is an executable file, and this is our source code. Hit run just to see if everything works fine. Wait for it. You guys should see the hello world soon, and there it is. Okay, what we are gonna do first is put all the includes that we are gonna need. So include sys types.h include arpa inet.h include netdb.h include string.h string include unstd.h include sys socket.h and as string. That's it. Just hit run. Yeah, everything's fine. We're going to declare and define our port to 5000. Here we are configure the server side. So struct sock address in, and this are going to be our socket address. The sim family will be AF iNet. Let's put the sim address as any. And finally, sim port to our port. So guys, AF iNet means that we are going to use the IPv4, not the 6. For example, we could use 6 here to use IPv6, but let's go for the 4. And then in address means that any address that we are using in our server will be used to this socket of the server. And the port we're choosing is the 5000. So IPv4, the IP that we are using in our server, and the port 5000 that we choose. So let's create an option for our connection to one. Our server address size will be the size of server address that we created. And now we're going to really create this socket server. So socket server equals to socket, and here we're gonna use the AF iNet again, the sock stream and 0. Zeros means that we're not gonna create any protocol additional for it. And just for you guys to know, sock streams means TCP. If we would like to use UDP, we just would have to change it for sock DG RAM. This means UDP. So let's go for TCP. And then let's set our socket. Option. So socket server. So socket. So reuse address or so reuse port. We're gonna pass the address of our option and the size of it. Finish the line. Let's create an if statement. Socket server. If everything is alright, then okay. But if it goes wrong, let's put an std not able to create our socket. Getting out. Std end line and then return end program. That's it for the server. Let's go for the client. Create an struct. Socket address in client address. Our socket length will be client address, size, the size of, and then int socket client. That's it for the client. Now let's go for the bind. Binding our socket to to the IP and port. Say bind socket server struct socket address this one and the address of server address and the size of it. That's done. Then we're going to put it on listening. So when the server stay on listening mode, any client will be able to connect through it from the port that we defined. Listening will be listen the socket server so max connection. This means that we're going to enable the maximum connections that our socket can. And this means that it's gonna be 128 in the system that I'm using. So let's print. You guys will see that printing on C++ is a little bit harder than in another languages. So std string stream ss receives the port and std cout. Server listening on port and then ss str std and line. I want to say you guys that I'm using the std and these dots because in macOS there is some crazy stuff happening. If we use using namespace std, for some crazy reason, I don't know why, these sockets can't connect in macOS. You need to really use std dots the class or method that you're using. Always. You can't do this. If you do this, then it will not work. That's all for the listening. Now, and finally, we're going to create the loop that will be executing while we're expecting for some client to connect. So, char buff of 4096 bytes int size bytes of received data. I think size in bytes sounds better. While waiting for client. While statement. While true. And then accept connections from clients. So our socket client will be the accept of our socket server struct sock address and the address of the client address. And the sock len from the address. Client address size. That's it. This accept the connection and establish it for transactioning data. std cout. Let's print it. Server client connected with success. std and line. We're going to receive some bytes and then we have to treat them in order so we can print and do anything about it. Let's try to find out who is the client. So char host client and I max host. Char port client and I max services. Guys, sometimes ports are called from services. That's why some DB connections have some specific ports. Now, we don't know what was in the memory before we create those variables. So let's clean the memory. Host client. Set all memories to zeros with the maximum size of host variables. Same thing to the port client. Fill them with zeros with the size of max size of the service. We don't know if we're going to get the client. So if we get it and if we don't get it. If we get it, get name info. Sock address from address C address. The size of it, the host client NI max host the port of the client NI max service and 0. If this was successful, do std cout oops the host client is connected to the port of the client std and line. If we don't get it, let's do the inet and top AF inet, that means IPv4, and then DC address. The host of the client, and then the NI max host. Now let's print it. std cout host of the client, is connected to the port, and ton c address dot sim port. std end line. That's it. This is our treatment for finding who are or who is our client. Now, let's reinsert our data. So size in bytes of received data is equal to recv. It will be sock client buff, the number of bytes, and 0. The last argument means that the way recv will work to receive our data. Then let's do the treatment if we get the right data or not. So if else statement, if we have any problem, there should be equals to less 1, and then std error receiving message. Quitting. Return. Not return, just break. But if everything goes fine, Let's do the std cout client disconnected std and line. Break. And then let's send back our data received to the client. Socket client, the content of buff, size of received data. Oh, important. You need to add 1 byte. And then the way it's gonna send it. That's it. We receive it and send it back. So let's print it in our console. Std cout std string buff 0, the size in bytes of received data, and the std and line. And finally, let's close our socket from client. That's it, guys. This is all you need for the server side of and socket in TCP or UDP. So let's run it. I forgot here. Let's try again. Alright, it's listening on port 5000. Let's open our terminal. So let's equal something to it. Class en testing our socket from client to server code. And then let's put a return here. And C, let's put a localhost IP .0.0.1 on port 5000. Alright, guys, can you see? Client disconnected with success. Connected with success. Localhost connected to the port, this one. Testing our socket from client to server code. We can do anything we want here. We can send any message we want. For example, hello socket in C++. That's it, guys. And if you want a Telnet it's not that different. For example, Telnet local host 5000, and then we can say hello you. It's closing the connection because we made it to close. Every time we connect, we receive the data, we send the data back, we print in console and close it. For this to work in Telnet the normal way, we need some changes, but you guys see that this work. So I'm happy to be teaching you guys the way this works. I hope you like it. Please subscribe for more content like this. Hit the like button if you liked it, and see you next time. Peace.